Welcome, welcome, welcome to the very first video of a brand new week, a Monday video at that. My name is Doug, this is Trade with Doug, and I'm going to spend a second, I'm going to talk to you about Monday. You know what's so beautiful about Mondays? The most beautiful thing about Monday to a trader is this. This day is a chance for us to right our wrongs from last week. Now, if you didn't do any wrongs, it's a chance for new beginnings. One of the most beautiful things for us traders is that the market is always here, isn't it? It will always give us a rematch. It doesn't matter how much money we lost in the past, how bad we might have effed this whole thing up. Today, my friends, today is a new day. And I'm going to try to help you. I'm going to try to help you get started this week. So welcome to another edition of Stock Market Mutterings, where my slogan is I will always do my best to take a grope in the murkiness, try to make some sense out of the stock market for you, and provide you with some quality trade setups. Before we get started, as always, if you need help with your personal trading, you can either join our live trading community and trade with us each day, or you can join our inner circle. The details are down in the description box. We'll begin with the Emini S&P 500. We're going to take a snapshot here for the week. We're going to talk a little bit about last week and what we might expect here at the beginning. So here's the way I'm looking at this. Over the last couple of these videos, I've been talking about the market's been getting a little hot, especially the Dow side of things. The YMs, US 30, whatever you want to call it, the Dow has been smoking on fire. We hit 35K last week, in which we got a little bit, let's say a universal pullback across the board. Now that was to be expected, considering where we have gone, how far this market has come. We've hit, I think the Dow itself has made somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 all-time highs. Don't quote me to the exact number. Astonishing. Like I said before, I can remember trading for years and we never saw all-time highs to click off 30 or whatever it is in a short period of time. This year, it's just turning out already. We're close to the 6-month point of just a blistering bullish year, but we've seen some discrepancy. We've seen some switching in the names where last year it was really heavily tech and growth focused. Now we're moving back into banks, into financials, into other types of assets, and it's part of this money cycle. But let's get to the S&P 500. We'll talk a little bit about it. We got to pull back. Employment numbers came out. They were very nice, or at least the market translated them as being very good, and we got a really solid bounce on Thursday and Friday. Now, this little gray box that I have drawn up here is the weekly highs and weekly lows from last week. This is always important to pay attention to your weekly highs, monthly highs, and so on as you're trading through there, because every level that we're looking at as traders means something different, right? Just because you see it's something, an asset trading at a certain level, it has a lot of different factors and variables in it, right? It could mean several different things. Maybe we're in a bullish market, maybe we're in a bearish market, maybe you're looking at multi-month support, multi-day support, and so on. Because we're starting out the week, basically, here's the highs of the week, lows of the week. Because we're starting out in the dead center, it's probably going to be very difficult to see any, how do I want to say this? We're probably going to spend the first couple of days here just chopping around back and forth before the market makes a direction. We had a really strong Thursday, a strong Friday. As I'm doing this, we have a slight little 10 to 15 point pull here. We'll see how this manifests throughout the course of the week. But one of my always strong theories, something that we teach in the inner circle, the box theory, about as you're more geared towards selling as you approach the top of the box, more engineered at buying as you move closer. If you're dead center, you basically really don't have too much of an edge. Now, there's different levels for every trader, different time frames. That's a completely different subject. So if you're trading on a 5-minute chart, you'll have many signals. 1-hour chart, you'll have different signals. There's going to be trades within inside of this. But when we're looking at the overall trend here, we're looking at the overall market, we're probably going to need a couple of days to consolidate Thursdays and Fridays gains before we can get a clearer direction on the week, and I expect we'll either trade down into here somewhere and start moving back up, or we will immediately move up here and then maybe tail off a little bit. Only time will tell, but I don't expect us to move too much higher over this week because of the aggressiveness of last week, and I would imagine that the market, being so bullish as it has been, will do a very good job at defending the lower levels of this. So what am I expecting? A lot of chop to begin with. Maybe we get a little bit of direction change later today on Monday. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see how the week plays out, but I would expect we stay within this area or we don't move too much out of it before the week is over. So that's my view there. We'll see how I expect everything to kind of remain a little bit of the same. No surprises here, and that's how I see the rest of this week going. Now, there's a lot of individual names here, and you're seeing a lot of these stocks now that, let's say they're trying, for lack of a better word, they're trying to find a bottom here in the market, but I don't necessarily think that's enough for them. There's been a lot of false bottoms on the way down with many of these bigger tech names, especially in growth stocks, things like PLTR, VUSI, Paytm, some of these other stocks I talk about. Some of these are just relentless. Paycom, Payc, just absolutely getting bludgeoned to pieces here. So be very careful when you're trading these dips. Not every dip, if you're especially new and you got the old BTFD, every bounce works. Not always. Markets correct, stocks correct, and some of these may never come back. So always respect your stops with that. There's a couple here I want to take a look at. I'm going to begin with, how about we look at ADSK? ADSK is one. I think I brought this one up last week. I'm looking at just daily charts here. We've got a really nice bounce, and there's going to be a lot of these that had a really strong performance on Friday. The thing is, after a nice little sell-off like this, you just can't jump into the very first green candle. I mean, you can, but it's not advisable. You're always looking for a base or some price areas to be solidified. This is what happens. You get a panic bounce off the 200-day moving average here, daily chart, by the way. And then the next day it sells off, but there's 4 days right here where this tested the 200-day moving average. I don't want to run in and just buy this first thing Monday. I'm looking for a short-term trade that takes me back up into this area. And I think you can see this thing move into there prior to their earnings announcements. I would not trade this thing through earnings, but you have a good risk to reward. It would be nice to see a small pullback. Here's how I would like to see this trade work out. A small pullback early Monday, making a nice higher low somewhere and starting to just turn itself up here in the chart. Stop can be right here. First target can be right here, maybe a third if we get a very aggressive rally, but step by step, first things first. Let's watch this one. Another one that has my intention and interest here is WOW. Not just WOW. WOW. Who doesn't love a stock called WOW? WOW. Did you see WOW? So let me pull this one back a little bit. I brought this up a while back. Now, the thing about this one is some of these big-time Momo growth stocks have been smoked. We know this. The VUSI, VUSI hasn't really been smoked. I take that back. Some of them have really seriously been corrected. This thing is a beast. I mean, look at the distance this thing has traveled, and it needed a pullback. You've got that, but you've built a really solid base here now for about a month, and you just now moved out of that with a gap up. Now, over that time from the gap up, we've had some shaky trading in this, but maybe this thing is ready to move out of this level and into another level and start working on the upper area of prices here. We'll show you what we're talking about. Let's get this. Somewhere up here in this 1820, you got a nice little pullback holding. This is the 10 moving average and the 20 moving average. You get a nice little curl right off of here and a press up into 1820, maybe even 20 bucks. Now, to confirm this move, it will need to break the high right there from about a week ago. Just trade up into here. I would prefer if it just didn't do this in a U-shape. Now, when I'm talking about U-shapes, let's say this is resistance right here. U-shape is something like this that comes up and makes a double top. Let's say like a cup and handle. I don't like taking things on the very first push through highs. Mostly because it's BS. They need a couple of shots for this. So what I would like to see in the perfect world, which you may not get, but in a perfect world, I would like to see a small pullback on this one. Just all of these I'm speaking of, I would like to see a little tiny pullback to test what we've done on Thursday and Friday. Because going into this week, the question is going to be, is what we saw on Thursday and Friday real, or was it just a panic bounce? So I'd like to see a small pullback there, and then perhaps a rally up here, the old standard check mark move. So I like this WOW. Keep your eyes on it. These things need to set up pretty good as we begin the week. And another one here is one I've been around the, let's say around the bend with, is EXPI. I got into this one a little too early. Wasn't a pleasurable experience. I've had better. But now, after such a long, aggressive sell-off, we may have found a bottom. I'm going to use air quotes and use the word may. I'm not going to say that we are at a bottom. This chart looks like hell right now. It's gotten its ass kicked. There's no better way I can say that. Excuse the vulgarities, but that's what's happened here. Way off of the highs at 90. Oh my God, just saying that. Thinking this thing was 90 and you're down here in the 30s is just insanity. Maybe this thing never recovers. Probably does not. But maybe there is a good bounce play. The difference is, as it has sold consistently off over the last few months, I'm just thinking what a hell of a short this would have been, huh? As it's sold off consistently, one thing it's failed to do is build a base. It's never had a washout zone. It's made some bounces, but those bounces have ultimately resulted in brand new fresh lows, like right here. And then you got a small tiny bounce that you can barely see, makes another low. Small tiny bounce at the 200-day moving average right here, makes another low. But now for the first time in a couple of months, you have, after earnings, after all this negativity, you got a very tight, solid base right here where a pop is possible, an expansion move. So remember, these stocks and assets move from one level to the next, and along that way they build these little boxes, again the box theory, building these little stationary spots before they make expansion moves. So from this zone, you're either going to get an expansion move lower and expansion move higher. I'm obviously leaning a little bit more towards higher because of the aggressive oversoldness. That doesn't mean it's not going to be more oversold. RSI is very low on this. But keep your eye on it. I'm not going to say it's going to go back to highs, but maybe we can trade back up into the lower 40s, which would make this a good trade here. Again, you want to see a little bit of a test here early in the week, and then a nice press, really confirming that the last 4 to 5 days of action is in fact the lows. We can trust it a little bit more if that happens, and then that's what we'll see if we can move up to here to the 40s, 41s. Maybe if it's really aggressive, maybe the 50s, but let's just do it in baby steps. So anyway, guys, that's the way I see it. I expect we're going to be a tad bit choppy to begin the week, maybe it's slightly bearish, but then we should confirm a direction sometime midday through Monday, maybe Tuesday early, and the market will point to some clearer direction. I think the most important thing is those 2 strong days from Thursday and Friday that came after a very strong 3-day sell-off will need to be I'm not even trying to say it. I'm done. We need to make sure that's legit. Is it too legit? We want to make sure. So we need a little bit of a pullback to test that. Other than that, guys, I thank you so very much for watching this video. You need help, reach out to me. You know where I'm at. Take care of yourself. I want you to trade well. Remember, it's Monday. It's time for a new beginning, but don't sauce your week right away. You got a long time. Pace yourself, make the right trades, do the right things, and the money will show up. Until next time, take care. See you then.